Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's
Morning.
Saturday morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Khadija. How are you this morning?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, just
Doing
started.
well.
So far, so good.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's nice if Saturday can be a bit of a later start, isn't it? Yeah, I agree. So, what have you been up to this week? How has your lockdown looked this week? Pal, what's yours been like?
It's just been very repetitive, really. Just focusing on my university work and work placements. It's been a bit tiring.
And are you doing all of that online?
Unfortunately, yes.
It's the same for me as well. Literally just uni and also participating in events with Community Courtyard. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I've been up to.
Fantastic.
How about
So,
you?
what events have you been? Well, I've been teaching most of the week, so yes, as you said, it's kind of repetitive, but I'm lucky because I have a lot of different classes, which we might talk about a bit later. So really, every day is different for me. It's still teaching, but it's always different students, different levels, different backgrounds. So I do get a little bit of variety in my lockdown life.
That's good.
That's good. Yeah.
So what have you been doing with Community Courtyard this week?
We so
I've been
each
doing different
day,
things really.
yeah, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
So on Mondays we read a book with
Like story time.
story time with loads of lovely people. On Tuesday we do crafting stories where we talk about books or poems that have in a way influenced us. So each day is a different thing, and Bianca really focuses on how we benefit from it. So like leading skills, discussion skills. So yeah, so every
Oh,
day is different. Yeah.
yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Deezer, this is what you've been doing as well?
Yeah, similar stuff to that as well. And also like we also have a day where we do crafting as well. So it's like a little session where you get to just relax and talk about things, what you've done throughout the week, which is nice as well.
So a nice little break. Something
Yeah.
to look
Yeah.
forward to. Yeah,
Like
it's really fun.
Do you see the benefits of what you're doing for the people that you're doing it with? How does it specifically benefit those people?
In a way, it's
um,
focusing on mental health.
yeah, and like
Yeah.
it's really open as well, like anybody can join. And I think it's nice that it's not anything too complicated, like anybody can. I mean, we're just having like a general chat really and
Yeah.
just talk about topics
It's,
that anybody wants to talk about.
it's like a safe space for people. So,
Yeah.
for example, on Monday, when we're reading a book and discussing together, it's on Zoom. So it's not live. So if somebody's
Yeah.
feeling down or they have a certain opinion, it's like a safe space for them to talk. So it's
Hmm.
really it's good for
It's
it's
comfortable.
mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's comfortable. So
Yeah, so a really important thing. Well done, both of you. And
thank
I wonder how much does communication kind of figure in what you do with Community Courtyard, for example, in what you do in your studies, because I know obviously both of your studies are relevant to people and how you interact with people. So, is this helping? Obviously, with lockdown, communication is quite a different thing now, isn't it? There are some things lacking in
yeah.
how we can communicate. So, when I say communicate for our second second language speakers of English, what do I mean? What do you think I mean when I say communicate? So, if we communicate, it isn't just speaking.
Hmm.
What other ways do we communicate? Pal, Khadija, what do you
Body,
think?
Through body language and
yeah, facial
yeah.
expressions.
Hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Through the tone of our voice, through our attitudes to the people that we're talking to. There are all sorts of ways that we communicate things without speaking. So how well do you think we managed to communicate in that way online?
I feel like online you can, but then it's not the same as being in person. You can't really tell, like, I don't know, with like body language and everything, or I mean, you can see your facial expressions, but
I think if it's like over text messaging, it's a bit difficult to know what somebody's mood and tone is towards the text. So I feel like emojis are a very big deal when people are sending messages, just so they don't sound rude or, you know, to show their emotion.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it's quite funny. Emojis are their own language now, aren't they? Yeah, it is quite interesting. We will have a emoji alphabet soon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that might be something that will happen in the future. If we continue to stay like virtual, there might be different ways of communication types like online coming out. So we never know, really.
Exactly. Oh, we've lost Khadija, but I'm sure she'll be back. So I think the reason I was thinking about communication, you know, that way that we get one idea or opinion or feeling through to another person, whether it be through speaking or our body language or our tone of voice or our facial expression, is obviously through my teaching. And I teach people. We have Khadija, I think. Let's see if she's here. So I teach people online, and I used to teach people in person. And there are differences. There are definite differences in how I can communicate with my students. And I will be very pleased when I can be in a classroom with them again and fully share that personal experience with them.
Yeah.
So I think one thing we've been thinking at Everyday English, because the people that we are spending time with at Everyday English are speakers of English as a second language. Hello again, Khadija.
Sorry about that. I don't know what.
That's okay. We were talking about the limitations of technology, so don't worry. So I know that for us at Everyday English, what we do is relevant on us being able to communicate properly with our students. And if you are a learner of English and it's not your first language, then, and especially if you're a beginner, then those other methods of communication are really, really important. So being able to read somebody's body language. When I'm teaching beginners, I will often do big mime sequences. So if I need to show running, I run in the classroom. If I need to show giving somebody a present, then I would mime that in the classroom. There are things that I do in that environment that are harder to do in this environment. And also just making students feel comfortable and, like you said, that they are in a safe space is very important. I wondered, what do you know about the courses that we run at Everyday English?
I don't know too much about it.
No. Well, we were talking about it last week. Bianca and I were talking about it last week. So our courses are basically run with the idea of helping speakers of English as a second language to further their life in the UK. So we run courses that are tied in with visa requirements, for the UK and with academic or professional requirements for the UK. So, for example, we run a UK VI A2 course, and that's designed for people who have come into the country on a family visa. The requirement of them is that they have to take another exam, the A2 language exam, within 2.5 years of their arrival in the country to show that they have gone up one level in their English learning.
Yeah.
So it's still quite a basic level, but it does involve more knowledge of things like sentence structure and being able to make yourself understood for the basics, getting on the bus, going to the shop, taking your child to school, the things that actually are a big barrier for people who come to the country with very little English. So that's our first course. And next we deal with the UK VI B1 course, which is to do with if you want a permanent residence or citizenship in the UK. Again, this is the language course you must pass in order to apply for that citizenship or permanent residence. So again, it's a very important one for anybody who has decided that their life is in the UK and they definitely want to build up their future within the country.
How long is each course?
Well, we're trying to, we are doing a course of around 10 weeks.
Okay.
But because learners are different and have different abilities and different strengths and areas of improvement, you know, then we do teach by learner rather than by,
Okay.
because,
Yeah.
and it's often about confidence as well and the ability to practice. So some learners, especially beginners, will come into class, learn English, maybe once a week, and then they will go home and they will not speak English again for the rest of the week because they live in a home which is mainly speaking their first language. So that can be quite a slow process, you know. So then, yeah, so it's, we can say, right, we will teach in 10 weeks if somebody wants that, but that's often a lot of work and a lot of practice. Which is fine if the student has that option, has that time, has the opportunity. No.
Yeah.
And then the one that you may relate to here is that we also run an IELTS academic or general course. Where we teach students to achieve the level of English required for them to enter either university or a professional body. So, for example, a nursing professional body. If somebody comes to this country and would like to be a nurse and are qualified to be a nurse in their own country, they have to enter and become a member of a professional body. And a professional body will not take them unless they have shown evidence that their English is up to a certain level. So this is a much more complicated exam. So at your university, do you know any students studying with you that have had to go through this process to get into university?
Yeah, I know a few.
So-
Yeah.
Yes. So it is an important process. It is a hard exam, but at the same time, it leaves people with the ability to write essays, which actually, as we know, as first language English speakers, writing an essay does not come naturally, does it? Even for us.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
No. So what process did you have to go to get to the point where you could write an academic essay during your education?
Planning.
Took practice. Like
Yeah.
in first year, I feel like because obviously we had a lot of essays to do then, and it doesn't actually count in first year, but it was actually a good. I feel like it was really good that we did that because it prepared me for this year, which I feel like was good.
Yeah, I even like during one of my first assignments, I shouldn't have done it, but I like purposefully like wrote a bad assignment to fail myself to get an F just to see how they would grade my work to kind of get that experience. So yeah,
It was definitely different from sixth form. Like
really
my first essay that I did, I could tell the differences in the grading. Like so after that, I feel like I realised how they grade it, and then that really helped.
Yeah, 100% was different for sixth form because what I did was I wrote my first essay as I was writing sixth form.
That was me as well. Like it was just natural, and I realised this is different. This is not the level that is at university.
So after
that's very interesting.
Yeah, so after like throughout the year, we slowly like learn how.
Yeah, and got used to it, and like the format and the structure as well. How to change that from sixth form level to university level.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And what about prior to sixth form? What were you doing within your school learning, you know, sort of up to sixth form to help you learn how to write in different registers, write in formal ways, write in informal ways? You probably were learning how to do it from quite early on in your school career, weren't you?
Definitely during our English classes, I think, because in school we don't really focus on assignments. In year 11, I did have like 2 assignments, but nothing like sixth form and
nothing like uni.
Nothing like uni. So I think sometimes we don't really realize that the school is actually preparing us for our assignments. So we are learning along the way without actually realizing. I feel like that's how it is. I don't know what you think of these are.
Yeah, I do. I think that as well. It just prepares us with that basic knowledge, and then obviously as we go, we learn obviously to improve our skills.
Yes, absolutely. No, that's some really interesting points that you made. So actually, even as native English speakers, you needed to learn study skills and ways of writing in order to be able to participate in the university level of academia. So this is very indicative. This shows just how much a speaker of English as a second language has to learn before they go into a university setting or before they go into a professional job that requires them to write reports, to be able to understand and participate in meetings about complex subjects. So the IELTS exam, even though it is certainly quite a challenge for learners, it is a positive thing because it does bring speakers of a second language into the realms of job, career, academic life that they can actually participate in. Hello, Bianca.
Hello. I just popped in because I was listening to your words, to what you were saying. I thought, wow, that's really good. But you used the word Marion, and I thought, oh, I wonder if everybody knows what that means. And I tried to type it, but instead I came into the studio. Indicative.
Yes.
Indicative.
It's a really great word. And if I love conversation cafes because you've got great words. but I'm going to leave you with the question.
Yes,
What does that mean?
yes, that's right. Well, it does. I gave the sort of the two different, to say something is indicative of, to mean that it shows something. So we can see something. Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
thank you for that, Bianca. Yes, and I've got all your messages up now. I've got several messages up here. So yeah, we certainly this is an example of being able to speak in different ways in different environments, isn't it? So what about when you are in your university lectures now, thinking about sort of teaching and yourselves as students, what would you say is different about learning online?
Oh,
Oh.
there's actually a big difference. I think
Yeah.
easy, like in class, we all have like, because we're all sitting around tables, whether it's with our friends or with other people, but there's always like a discussion. So everyone like
Yeah.
they will communicate around their table and then it will go around the class. So we all communicate with each other, had a debate, a discussion, everything, especially with like like our lecturers, like listening and but online I think
It's
there's like
different.
a big difference. It's about confidence. I think people are less
Definitely. I
confident.
think with online it's about confidence. I think
Yeah.
most people aren't as confident to, I mean, me myself, I know that I'm also not that confident as well to just put my mic on sometimes and join in discussions, but in person I feel like having that interaction and seeing them face to face, I feel like was more comfortable for me. Like Pell knows, like in our lectures we would have discussions and like we'd sit in tables and we can actually see each other and make a few comments, but for that was more comfortable for me than online, I think. Yeah.
I think like seeing people is like more comfortable, like just like, because you can like joke around as well. Joke around while you're having that discussion. Whereas if it's online, it's a bit awkward. Like it just all feels really serious. If I'd like
probably not the same for others, but for me personally,
because obviously there's like some students who will put their mic on and stuff. Even the camera, like there's a certain student who will even turn on their camera to talk.
Or like encourage take over sometimes as well. Like when obviously everybody talks at the same time, and obviously it's hard to, not butt in, but
interrupt.
Interrupt. It is hard to interrupt. I find that hard.
Yeah, it's also like, oh, they answered the question. Like, I don't want to say something in case it's wrong.
But then when you're like in class, you can see what they're thinking properly by their facial expressions. But obviously, online, people don't put their cameras on. Well, in our lectures, nobody does.
And if they're confused, you see that they're confused, so it makes you feel a bit better. But because it's online,
then you can ask
really
other questions. You're like, oh, actually, because you see by their facial expressions.
It's a bit weird, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be weird when we go back.
I know, it's
if we do ever go back.
Oh, it's like we have to like learn how to communicate again in the classroom.
Yeah.
I think,
but
it's interesting, like online and everything. I don't know, like it's also like
different, but it's definitely different, but at least we can still get some sort of learning,
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's what matters. I think like focusing though is like really difficult. There'll be sometimes where you're just like completely zoned out. So it's like important that we like in our own time go over it and make sure we understand and
because of lockdown, I feel like it's understandable. Being
Mm,
on lockdown, everybody's going through the same thing. I feel
yeah,
like
exactly. It's good because we
like
can
literally all uni students can relate. Like
literally,
my other friends from other unis, everybody's on the same path.
yeah, even my friends are like, when you're on social media, you just see like university students complaining, and I'm like, I understand.
Yeah, it's so relatable.
Yeah, but it's good that we can like email our lecturers about it. Though sometimes like communicating with them is really difficult.
Yeah,
Like they'll
at
take
least you can email them or something privately
Mm,
if you feel uncomfortable about something.
exactly.
Is Marion? I'm guessing Marion's internet probably cut out. Or
Yeah, probably.
what time does
Technology.
she want us to stop by? Because I feel like we'll just keep chatting for another hour.
I'm not sure. I think we'll have to see if she's able to come back on.
Yeah, should we just message on the?
Yeah.
Actually, if she's come out of the live stream, then she won't be able to see the chat, would she?
No, she won't. I guess we're gonna have to lead this session, Khadija.
Oh, this is our first time leading a session.
Yes, it is. But yeah, I feel like work placement as well.
Yeah,
Like if you think about it, it's all online. So it's like you know how Bianca's always like it's better for us to have our camera on
yeah.
so they
I feel
can
like it is. To be
see.
honest, it is
Hmm?
better.
Yeah, it is because like you can see each other's facial expressions. Oh, hello.
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 I'm so glad you're
That's
still
okay.
here.
It's okay.
I
We
don't know.
just carried on with that question.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, so what were you saying? What did you have to add to that? Fill me in.
We just said we just continue to talk about how it's different for us online than in person and what we feel about. Sorry, sorry about the noise in the background. My window's open, so.
Yeah, that
But
happens.
yeah,
Yeah.
Uh,
It's like confidence as well. We mentioned how people are less confident online and how when we're in class, it's nice for us because we can see if other students are confused.
yeah,
But if
by
they,
facial expressions.
if they look confused, then it makes us feel better because we're not alone.
Yeah,
But
but
online, you don't know. Yeah,
yeah, because nobody puts their camera on.
yeah. Or no
Absolutely.
one.
Nobody's feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, thank you for sort of carrying that on. I know there were a few words there that were really interesting and will be interesting for our non-native English speakers watching. So I know you mentioned debate, and I think debate is a really interesting word in English because I think that if a non-native English speaker looked up debate in the dictionary, they might find the word argument. And of course, it's not quite that, is it? So, no. So, what is the difference, do you think, between debate and argument?
It's
It's interesting when we think of our own language, yes.
I don't know, it's like sharing your views and opinions, but in a polite way. So like hearing both sides and not like you don't have to you can go against it, but it's not like arguing. You're just giving an opposite opinion and looking at it as a whole, I think.
Trying
Absolutely.
to convince people, you're like trying to convince the audience, like
which side,
debating with,
Yeah, that's right. Very good explanation. Thank you. So, yes, if you're listening, and there is a difference. So, an argument, as Palan Khadija says, is something that you are differing, you have differing opinions, differing feelings to the people that you are arguing with, but it's a negative thing. So, you are not necessarily doing it in a good way, you are not necessarily, whereas a debate is something that you can do with somebody else where you share your views, even if they're different, and you actually perhaps try and come to some conclusion that involves some compromise, where you think of the other person's opinion, or perhaps you need to make a decision and you actually need to hear everybody's views before you make that decision. So a debate is a much more positive way to have a different opinion. And the other thing you talked about was confidence, which of course is a very important thing for all of us to feel. And confidence, again, to describe confidence to a speaker of English as a second language, what other words could you use?
I guess,
like, what do you think, Pal?
I think like there's many ways. I think being it's like being brave, really, like being certain with yourself that not everything has to be right, that you can be wrong. It's like keeping that in mind, that you can be wrong, but it's okay. So that will kind of give you the boost.
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful description. Yes, exactly. So if we feel confident, then we don't feel scared, and we feel that perhaps even if something is scary, we can deal with it. So yes, that's feeling confident, and that's a very good way to feel, because things are scary, things are different, new. There's all sorts of things that can happen, but if you feel confident that those things can happen, but you are not too scared to try to get involved, then that's a very good way to feel. So I think for as you say, for university students, you are obviously noticing the difference between online learning and learning in university. So what do you think, what kind of things do you think that speakers of English as a second language, especially beginners and lower level, what do you think they might think about online learning? Do you think they would feel it was scary?
Probably they could, but then if they're like confident with technology as well, I think it kind of might be okay. I think that with the language barrier, maybe they might feel a little uncomfortable and scared, maybe, but it's different for everyone, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like if they were the only one in the class who like they weren't confident in their English. So if they had friends who were in the same like situation as them, in the same class, I think they'll feel a bit more confident. But if they're like the only one who are not very fluent, I think they might feel intimidated in a way, like
no, absolutely. So to finish off our broadcast today, then perhaps because you're in this position, you are learning in a different way to the way you were used to the way you're confident with. What advice would you give to perhaps some learners of English as a second language who are thinking, I do want to learn English, but I'm worried about doing that online. I don't know that I can. Would you have any advice for them?
I would say just to try your best. Don't worry about making mistakes, because everybody makes mistakes, and I do a lot of times, but you learn from your mistakes. So yeah, you shouldn't worry about other people.
Yeah, I agree. And it's also like, as they're learning English online, they can meet people in the lesson, they can make new friends, and it's important for them to know that, you know, they're all in the same boat. You know,
everyone's feeling
all in the same boat. Yeah, that is a
Yeah.
very English phrase.
All in the
What
same
do
boat.
we mean? All in the same boat. What do we
As
mean by
in, like, it's like if you think of it as levels. So you're all in level 1, you know, and trying to progress up higher. So
Mhm.
it's important to know that you're a team,
Mm-hmm.
that you're all learning together, and that everyone's
that's
gonna, as Khadija said, everyone's gonna make mistakes. Like,
Yeah.
just because we are fluent in English doesn't mean we
That
don't
we
make
know everything.
mistakes. Yes. So it's important for them to know that just because we are fluent in English doesn't mean
Yeah.
that
Just
we know
to not
everything.
compare yourselves, I think.
Yeah.
That's important.
So I think with time they will learn. So as long as they don't pressure themselves
Mhm.
and they just enjoy the journey, really.
Yes, enjoy it.
Yes.
perfect. Excellent advice. Thank you so much, Pal and Khadija and Bianca, briefly
welcome.
for joining us today. Thank you, everybody out there, for joining us. We have really enjoyed this morning's session, and have a lovely week. Don't forget that we will be back at 1:30 this afternoon with a game to help you learn your English. I think Pal and Khadija may well be with us as well. And we will see you then, hopefully. And also, just enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.